Welcome back to the 815 Exchange. I am your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 336 once again for episode 51 of the 815 Exchange. And well, we got plenty to talk about. We got plenty to talk about. First off, thank you, support. Like I've said this pretty much each of the past almost 4 weeks now, I think, right? Thank you for all the support lately. It's been crazy. The channel growth has been amazing. I now look at my YouTube studio for my ego. You know, it's now an ego lift. So much appreciated. Hope you guys continue to enjoy the content, whatever it is. I know it's a variety of stuff nowadays. So much appreciated. Made a lot of moves last week. Wasn't all celebrating. Had some family stuff, but yeah, also made some moves pertaining business-wise and with this podcast and with some other stuff, Ultra Reacts and all that type of stuff. So, very exciting developments. It's a very exciting time. The channel growth is amazing right now. So, let's keep it up. Of course, if you're enjoying the content, if you're enjoying the podcast, if you're enjoying the show, remember to like, share, and subscribe as always. It helps grow the channel. Unofficial water sponsor, we'll bring it back. Deer Park, you know, I'm a little bit bigger now. Maybe you'll reach out this time. But yeah, Deer Park is our unofficial water sponsor. So if you see a transition or you see me grab this water, Deer Park, appreciate it for keeping me hydrated. Stay hydrated, kids, ladies and gentlemen, everybody watching, whatever you are, stay hydrated. Water is essential. So much to talk about in sports this week. Not as much in entertainment. Of course, you know, Loki came off, so not as much in TV. No real movies came out, so mostly music this week. It was an interesting week in music, so that's what the entertainment segment's going to be about. We got stuff that happened early last week, and we got stuff that's happened literally as we speak, especially with the Olympics. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me not waste any more time. And like I said, we had some stuff that went down earlier in the week that I have to talk about, as I said I would. And that, of course, pertains to the NBA. I have to give my flowers, you know. They made me a believer last week, and now I finally have to give my flowers. I have to give my support. Milwaukee fans, I get it. You got it. You got it this year. You got it. You got it. I believe. I'm a believer. I said it last week, but congratulations. They get it done in six games, right? Yeah, it was 6. Yeah, 6 games. I had a brain fart, so I had to check that. But Giannis Antetokounmpo. I mean, how much else can we say about the Greek Freak, man? A historically great final series. He also got Finals MVP. He had a couple iconic moments, the block, the dunk, and then he had a 50-piece. A 50-piece. Not 51, not 49 as he said at the Chick-fil-A line the day after, but a 50-piece. 50 and 40 for Giannis. He was a monster. He was a monster. He solidified himself as one of the guys, I think, that is, you can fully say, not that you couldn't before, but after this, you'd have to be hard-pressed to say he's not a guy that could eventually be the heir to the throne here and take over and lead this next generation. And I'm going to talk about this next generation as we go on here, as I get closer to the NBA draft, as the NBA draft is this week. So, we'll see. I know I did I was with the boys last year when this happened, so we had the little NBA draft preview. We had that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's Thursday. We'll see if I drop something. I'm going to talk about it briefly here today in today's episode. But we'll see if I go more in depth at a later date in the next couple of days. Depends on how busy I am. But also in this game, CP3 had 26, but it wasn't enough. He really didn't have a great close to the series. Devin Booker had an awful close to the series. DeAndre Ayton got nullified. The Suns imploded. They imploded. If I'm being honest, they imploded. Leadership, it just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. Straight up, it was not there. And not on the level of a championship team, at least. They just didn't have the goods. They didn't have the goods in the end. I was wrong. I was wrong. You know, they made me a believer early on. I looked at the team makeup and I thought, okay, they could be something. Had a great regular season. Took out the Lakers, even though I expected that. But no, I guess not everybody else did. But nonetheless, had them the hype, you know, took out the top dog. So, yeah, it imploded. It imploded. Besides with the Bucks just peaking at the right time, I mean Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday. Shout out to my boy Eddie. And you'll see him probably in a couple weeks on this podcast, possibly talking about Drew. We'll see. You'll hear more about that as we get closer to then. But Drew Holiday, I mean, absolute closer. Even the times when he didn't have great shooting nights, he was a lockdown defender. Made big plays in big play moments. Big players make big plays. Drew Holiday make big plays. He was a big reason why they won the championship. Chris Middleton, I slandered him all year. Said he couldn't be a number 2 on a championship team. And listen, he's technically a number 2, I guess, on the championship team. Depending on how you want to rank him and Drew, whatever. He was the second scoring option. He made some clutch buckets down the line. Shout out to Chris Middleton. Got it done. He's a player. He's a hooper. You know, he got it done. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he's a star, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stand on that. Some people may. I'm not. But he's a good player. And I always thought it was a championship piece. But, yeah, they get it done. Congrats to the Bucks. Suns just imploded. And, yeah, let's see, the trophy ceremony, the parade, that looked like that was very entertaining. Congrats to the city of Milwaukee. Another thing with the Giannis element is a small market team. We've seen a lot of the big market teams getting these big threes and all that type of stuff. And not that Giannis won. And again, I don't want this to be, and I saw a couple of this. Giannis did not win this championship by himself. He was phenomenal. He was the main reason. Don't get it messed up. Bona fide superstar. And at this point now, not that he wasn't already, but first ballot Hall of Famer, right? Future first ballot Hall of Famer. At 26, his resume is ridiculous. But he didn't win this championship by himself. Like I said, Drew Holiday showed up big time. Brook Lopez even bailed them out of games at some points in time. Pat Connaughton was a great player. I talked about Chris Middleton and Drew. Listen, I could go on and on. That was a good Bucks team. The Bucks team was good, and they had depth. Depth wins championships, period. Bobby Portis, the most beloved man, bar Giannis in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is Bobby Portis. What a career renaissance he's had, even though he's still fairly young. Just an absolute renaissance that Portis had in this series. And really just in this playoffs, so shout out to Bobby Portis. But Giannis didn't win this by himself. Big reason, but, you know, he had some help. Everybody has help. It's okay. But I do say it was nice to see, in a year in which I felt the season was kind of loomed by the fact that you had Brooklyn. And if we're being honest, if Brooklyn hadn't been injured the way they were, and they almost made it with them being injured. If Brooklyn wasn't injured the way they were in the playoffs, they probably still would have won the championship. But for a season, like I was saying, that felt marred by that overwhelming final boss, right? It just kind of felt like it was inevitable that the Nets were going to win the championship because they were just that much better than everybody else. It felt good to see, almost like last year, right? When it wasn't like a for sure thing. It wasn't a for sure thing that the Lakers were going to go all the way. Sure, they were a favorite. There's favorites every year. But it wasn't like, you know, the KD Warriors where it was like, okay, we know what's going to happen. So it was a nice result, even though the playoffs was very sloppy. It was exciting. It was nice to have fans back and all that stuff. Had some great moments. But my goodness, the injuries were ridiculous, and that contributed to a lot of people opting out of the Olympics. And I'll talk more about that when I talk about the Ollie. But, yeah, that was the end of this season. But the start of this next season has already begun, as the NBA draft, like I was stating, is on Thursday, which means the Pistons, who will probably be taking Cade Cunningham, you're on the clock. You're up. Next is the Rockets. I've heard a lot of reports about them pretty much being locked in on Jalen Green, which I think is the right decision there, as I still have Cade. I know there's some Evan Mobley guys. There's even some Jalen Suggs guys. I think Cade and JG are 1A, 1B, whatever formation you want to put them. I think they're both bona fide superstars in this league. Just two great, tremendous prospects. But yeah, I fully expect Cade to go first and kind of become that future franchise cornerstone. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays with Killian Hayes and where Killian Hayes fits. I remember I didn't see much of Killian Hayes last year. I'd have to catch up. I don't know how well he is off the ball. I remember in my, when I scouted him, before he got drafted last season, I was very high on Killian Hayes. He did most of his best work with the ball in his hands. When playing with Cade, the ball's going to be out of his hands. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does off the ball. And they are kind of, not similar players, but they have they play similar roles, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting dynamic there. JG to the Rockets works. JG's Hollywood. He's a true two guard. I feel like a lot of people are trying to make him almost like a combo guard or a point guard. And while his handle and his passing aren't bad, he's a two guard. He's a bona fide shooting guard. Stop trying to make him something he's not. He's a superstar at the two position, so no real reason to change that. I think Mobley's going to be very good also. I just don't know if he's going to be elite because he doesn't do well against other elite bigs. Jalen Suggs is a great playmaker, great point guard. So, very deep draft. Scotty Barnes, Jonathan Kuminga, Segrin. Yeah, a lot of talent there. Can't wait. Very excited. Very, very excited to watch that. I've been watching this class. It feels like this is the high school class we've been watching for a while. And now we finally get to see them take that step into the draft. So, very, 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 very excited for that. Kind of feels like 2019 in terms of we watched them grow up and now they're about to be in the league. But, yeah, you can let me know any NBA draft predictions you have for your team or for what you think or who you have. What's your ranking of the top four between JG, Cade, Suggs, and Mobley. And, yeah, you can let me know that. But, yeah, NBA draft on Thursday. We'll see if I drop some content. We'll see. We'll see. Or if not, I might do some short videos on TikTok since I got that 3-minute timer. Might do a little something there. Moving on here to the MMA scene as we had another UFC Vegas or UFC Fight Night. And this was one I was highly anticipating. I talked about it last week. We had T.J. Dillashaw. A villain. A true villain. So I can respect it. But not really for the right reasons. But nonetheless, a true villain. T.J. Dillashaw took on Corey the Sandman Sandhagen in the main event. For really what was the #1 contender spot at 135 in the bantamweight division. Which I will talk about after I talk about this fight. And TJ got the win. TJ got the win by split decision. Honestly, I feel like it could have gone either way. It just kind of depended on what you want to grade it at. There was a lot of tough rounds. There were some rounds that was clearly Corey. There was a round that was clearly TJ. But then there was a lot of rounds I felt where it was like, depending on how you graded it out, you could add a flurry of kind of answers here. I don't think it was really going to be a robbery either way. If Corey would have won, I felt it would have been justified. If TJ would have won, it would have been justified. If it had been a draw, I'd have been like, yeah, that makes sense, honestly. It was that close of a fight. It was a great fight as well. TJ had a vicious cut. I mean, that was a bad cut. And that was a deep cut, but they let him keep fighting, so respect to that. He hurt his knee throughout the fight, so he said it was popping. Where Corey went wrong was he tried to, and he said it, he tried to do a little bit too much. Tried to do a little bit too much at times. And if he'd have made smarter decisions with his fight IQ and fought his fight and not tried to style on TJ as much and just kind of focused on getting the win at all costs, which is what TJ was focused on, which was winning. No matter what he did, he was trying to win. So that's why when he was grappling, even though he couldn't really get a takedown because of his knee, he was fighting for position, throwing those knee strikes, doing whatever he could to get points. Winning by any means necessary. And that's what the fight game is about, if I'm being honest. Deep down, even though we love the style points, we love to highlight finishes, and this was a good fight. Very entertaining fight still too, right? But a very high-level fight. That's what I should say. Not entertaining, but it was a very high-level fight. Anybody that watches MMA or the UFC would have enjoyed this, matchup. But if we're being honest, the fight game is about winning by any means necessary. You have to win. This game is about winning. And TJ came to win. Corey came to win, but he didn't, he didn't want as much as TJ. Tried to do a little bit too much, stylish stuff. Got him in some bad positions, and that cost him long term. And that's what ended up costing him. Corey's still very young. He's going to be around. He's still one of the perennial top contenders. Just him at 5'11", being in bantamweight is a cheat code. So he's always going to be a tough out for anybody. TJ showed, maybe not as much ring rush as a lot of people thought. He showed he still had it, and he's the #1 contender. He is now the #1 contender at 135. Of course, we got Aljo and Peter whenever they want to lock it up and, get back in there. I think Peter wins that fight because Peter was beating Aljo up before the illegal knee. And I think we didn't get Peter versus TJ, and I think Peter Yan is the best 135er in the world, if I'm being honest. I don't know if anybody's beating Peter Yan. He just seems like the complete package, and his stand-up is just so good, while also being able to grapple and having the strength to get out of those positions. I don't know if anybody's beating him, even TJ. But you can let me know what you think there. Other things on this card, we have Macy Barber win a very sus, shout out to Among Us, a very sus split decision versus Miranda Maverick. I don't know about that one. It was almost similar to TJ and Corey, but not as high level, and more so Maverick probably should have won that. But, you know, it is what it is. Adrian Yanez continued his 7 or 8 fight win streak. He got the round 2 win over Randy Costa. That was a very exciting fight, a very good fight as well. Costa looked very good, but Yanez made the necessary adjustments, toughed it out, and got the finish, so congratulations to him. Brendan Allen and Soriano put on a show to open up the main card. That was a very, very good fight. I very much so enjoyed that one. Allen looks like a great prospect. For a guy that's supposed to be a grappler, his stand-up looked really good in Soriano. Soriano just kind of, you could see him get tired. He was still throwing heat, don't get me wrong. He still had that puncher's chance. Absolutely. Still had that puncher's chance, but it wasn't enough, and Allen definitely won that. He got the UD. He continues to move up. Soriano's still also fairly young. If he gets a little bit more well-rounded, he could be a problem. Gets that gas tank up. I think it could be a real prospect. He was 9-0 for a reason. But yeah, shout out to Allen. He continues to rise up. And yeah, that was the UFC. Moving on to the entertainment sphere, which is really just music this week. Honestly, instead of entertainment, I probably just popped up music, if I'm being honest. Also, because that takes less space. Probably easier to read. But nonetheless, we got music this week. It was an interesting week in music. We had Rolling Loud, so we had all the performances there. We had Coyle Ray getting clowned. Travis starting off with a new song. Had a couple stuff. I saw Don Toliver was turning it up. Meg, what was it? The Baby brought out Tori right after Meg. You know, they got that situation. Party was trending on Twitter, whatever. So, had a bunch of stuff happen at Rolling Loud. Knew a couple people that went. What else? Oh, yeah, I'll talk about that. Let me talk about the music first. But then we'll talk about EA. Better Believe, stuff that I listened to this week at least. I know Young Blue also dropped the album. I'll probably try to get around to listening to that. I'm at the point with this, with the Pop Smoke album where I'm going to listen to it again, and I still feel uneasy. I'm just going to take all of that out of my playlist, and I might just replace it with whatever Young Blue dropped, because apparently that was heat. So that's my situation with that. Steven Victor, you're looking like you're a scumbag. It looks like Drake was actually right when everything he was talking about on Duppy. It's crazy how everything he said has ended up being correct. He still lost that. Don't get me wrong. He still lost that battle. But I've always been in this opinion. It's not me being a D-writer or anything. But I think Duppy was probably the better diss track than Story of Adidon, or whatever you call it. But because he outed him for, you know, the child thing that got the media, and that's how Push won, if I'm being honest. Not that Push doesn't have the skills, but let's be honest, some of those features that Steven Victor put on that Faith album, that was just straight, like, it was questionable, bro. It's questionable. I don't really rock with that. So, good music. Y'all are kind of looking like some bums, but we'll talk about that later. Better Believe, Belly. I only listen to Belly when he's got a Weeknd feature, if I'm being honest. This was a solid song. Nice, chill song. Better Believe. Young Doug was also on it. A lot of people were a little bit back and forth. It was a little polarizing, Doug feature. I think it was solid. The whole track was solid. Belly did his thing. Weeknd is a bell is a bell, so he's always going to do his thing. There's really no conversation, ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's going to do what he's going to do, right? So, yeah, that was solid. Better Believe. If you want to listen to it, feel free to check that out. But what my big headliner was, even more so than Kanye, I was more excited because Santan David Dave is back. Dave returned with We're All Alone in This Together. That was his second album. Of course, he had that first one, which was a classic. If you haven't listened to that, go listen to it. Go listen to Dave's first album. But yeah, We're All Alone in This Together. In the Fire, he brought out the British Hip Hop Avengers on that one. That was literally fire. Verdansk, I know that one took me. That one really grabbed me into this album and really caught my attention. Heart Attack. That's the one I posted. I posted Heart Attack because that's how heated it was. A great storytelling track. Dave is a great storyteller. He is a phenomenal storyteller as an artist and as a rapper. It's one of his specialties, and he knocked it out of the park there. He knocked this album out of the park. I'm going to give it a 9 right now. It could end up higher. It didn't really have, at least for the current moment, of course this is, scheduled to change. I don't know if it had the bangers that he's had in the past, but the overall message, the overall cohesiveness, and just kind of the overall average of the album was very, very high level stuff. So Dave, again, he did it again. What do we expect? I knew this. Like I said it last week. I said Clash, it was solid, right? But I know he can go to another level. And he went to, I think, another level again. It's Dave. He's one of the best. A lot of people will call him the best. And yeah, if you haven't listened to We're All Alone in This Together and you're trying to get into the British hip-hop scene, whatever it is, go do that. After you finish watching this or whatever segment you want to watch, go listen to Dave. You will not regret it. Trust me. Now let's talk about Kanye. Alright. Kanye had his album listening party streamed on Apple Music for free. So, shout out to Ye. At Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is a phenomenal stadium. Shout out to the city of Atlanta. Shout out to the Falcons. Shout out to Atlanta United. Phenomenal facility. And the event looked great. It's one thing Kanye does great. Is he knows how to make a moment. He does. He's very good at that. As someone who watches this sometimes from a marketing standpoint, it's great. He's a great marketer. Even though his album rollouts are all over the place, generating hype for a single event, he can do it. He can do it. He definitely did it here. Had the whole world, it felt like, watching this event or in Atlanta for this event. And he played an unfinished album because, of course, Kanye did. Of course, he did not finish this album. Of course he did. Of course he did. I'm not even going to say the album name because he's probably going to change that too. Actually, he may not because it's Donda, it's his mother's name, and it's still, the album's about his mother, so maybe he won't. But I don't know. He may change it to Donda's, I don't know. I don't know what Kanye. Does anybody ever know what Kanye? Apparently he's living at the locker room of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I've heard he showed up at the Atlanta United game in the same fit. He's doing the whole mask thing or whatever he's going for there. I don't know. I don't know. The album, it had no drums. It sounded like there was potential there, but it was like, it was like there was something missing. So maybe that's why he didn't release it, because it really actually wasn't finished. A lot of people were disappointed. I wasn't surprised. I may have accidentally called it last week that he wasn't actually going to drop. But, that's Kanye. Kanye's going to do what Kanye does. On to the next in music. But yeah, overall, solid, very interesting week in music. Of course, TV shows, nothing really happening. Movies, nothing really happening. I guess we did have the Dune trailer, and I said Dune. Dune trailer. Dennis. Please go see this movie. Please, people, go see this movie. I need all of the parts. I'm going to try to read the book series before it comes out. I feel like I'm going to do that, and I might try to read that the rest of my summer before I go back to school and actually have to read stuff for, academic reasons. But for pure pleasure, I might try to read Dune, because I'm all in. I'm all in. That trailer was phenomenal. But Denis Villeneuve, good luck to you, my boy. Blade Runner 2049 was great. Your previous works are great. I got a lot of faith in you. Now, before I get to the Olympics, because I know some of y'all are probably chopping at the bit if you haven't already skipped to it, we're going to go to the Gold Cup, right? In soccer, we've had some stuff go down. And I'm probably going to pretty quickly go through this because we're just now really getting to the dick and den, the real bits and pieces of the Gold Cup. However, very shockingly to me, Qatar. I don't know where this came from. I didn't think Qatar was this good, but hey, more power to you. Qatar, who is in the Gold Cup, yes, that is right. Qatar is in a North American tournament. But they get the win 3-2 over El Salvador. They move on to the semifinals. They look good. They've looked good this tournament, honestly. Qatar has looked good. So maybe they won't be completely just kind of getting murdered on their home soil next year in the World Cup. That probably shouldn't be in Qatar, but is. But nonetheless, Qatar gets the win over El Salvador here. Mexico, heavy favorites. Well, not heavy favorites, but one of the favorites, of course, in this tournament, probably alongside America. They move on versus Honduras. They get the 3-0 win. Jonathan Dos Santos scored a worldie. So congrats to Mexico. They move on. Maybe they get their Nations League rematch versus us. We'll see. Canada gets the win over Costa Rica 2-0. Canada's looked very good. I mean, besides when they got beat by us, and even that was off of a first-minute goal. And then they stuck with us pretty much and applied some pressure the entire time. Canada versus Mexico is going to be an interesting semifinals matchup. That is going to be a very interesting semifinals matchup. I'll probably, if there's nothing else on, I'll probably try to check that one out because I'm very interested to see what those two teams do and how they match up against each other. The USA. We looked like we were down and out. We looked like we were done for. We looked at times. It looked like we, we're dealing with the pressure. It looked like we might be going to extra time, possibly penalties. It looked like a Euro situation. But my. He burst onto the scene this year with shellac. He's the Shellacian hero, the German-American, even though he's not really German. Matthew Hopp needs to be on the World Cup team. That's all I need to say. Matty Hopp needs to be on the World Cup team next year, or at least in World Cup qualifying. I need him on this team. He provides a spark, and he's where he has to be at the right time and makes the right decisions, and sometimes that's all you need. He gets a very opportunistic header after a very uncharacteristic mistake by Andre Blake, and we advance past Jamaica. We get Qatar next. Should be an interesting matchup. It's going to be a real test for us to see if we can rise to the occasion here in the semifinals. And also for Qatar, just to see the quality of their, team. The absolute scenes if we lose to Qatar in the Gold Cup, though, I would hate to be Greg Berhalter if that happened. But nonetheless, interesting results there. Moving on to the Olympics. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you've been waiting for it. I know you have. And it's here. It's here. I have been waiting for it. It is the most wonderful time of the year. As we normally say during those couple weeks in December when it's Christmas time. But for a sports fan, it is the most wonderful time of the year. I'm not going to try to sing that like I almost did just now because I cannot sing. I have really no musical talent. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm a decent writer. But Ariane Titmus. Shout out to Australia, by the way. Their swimming program got it on lock. The men's won the, the 4x4, was it the 4x4? I think it was the 4x4 medley. I believe Australia won. The men, shout out to them. They were on fire. The women, Ariane Titmus looks like she's a contender. We have a contender. For the first time in Katie Ledecky's storied career, she has been beaten at the Olympics. She still medaled. She got silver. But for the first time in her career, she was denied a gold medal at the Olympics in solo competition. Ariane Titmus gets the upset in the 400 free. So congrats to Ariane. She's a very good one. No rematch in the 200 meter free. So we'll see how that goes. Should be a very interesting one. It's a nice challenge for Ledecky. It might make her rise, to another level. Might push her to that next level. Chase a world record. Shout out to Katie Ledecky, though, still one of the women's swimming GOATs. And also shout out for Titmus. She's just putting on Australia's swimming program. Been phenomenal. The USA won the 4x1 in swimming. Caleb Dressel did his thing. I mean, all of them did their thing. So shout out to them. We get the win there. Yuto wins skate. Nigel, what happened, my boy? What happened? Shout out to Yuto, though. He gets the win in skateboarding. First skateboarding medal ever awarded. First skateboarding gold medal ever awarded. That's what he can have. Japan needed it also. I mean, if I'm being honest, Japan has been kind of down bad. It's kind of ironic because they're the host. And typically hosts do pretty well in the Olympics that they host. But Japan has been down horrendous with some of the upsets, some of the top guys. So Big win there. And one of those top guys is one of the male. I mean, some might call him the greatest male gymnast ever. Kohei Uchimura fell. Got his handing wrong and fell, took a L there. And that was in qualifying. Wasn't the final. So it wasn't like, okay, maybe still had a chance at bronze or silver. No. Failed out in qualifying. Absolutely stunning in gymnastics there. USA hasn't been perfect. They've been fighting some stuff. Simone hasn't been her crispiest. She's still been the GOAT, but hasn't been her crispiest. But, I mean, once again, she's the greatest of all time for a reason. So I fully expect her to rise to the occasion, as she has done time after time after time after time after time again. Because, I mean, it's Simone Biles. It's Simone Biles. Now let's talk about basketball. Oh, my goodness. USA lost to France. We lost to France. Can't say I didn't see this one coming. Cannot say I did not see us losing to France, if I'm being honest. I didn't see Evan Fournier dropping a 30-piece almost. He had 28. Didn't see that one, but I definitely did see us losing to France. This America team, I said they gave me 2014 vibes. I just don't know about this team. Shout out to Jrue Holiday once again for carrying us. KD, where were you at? Devin Booker, I got no words. It's not good. It's not good right now. We're not great defensively. We're not really great at anything, it seems. Despite having, you know, an entire team made up of, I can't say the entire team because we do have JaVale McGee on that team. And, you know, shout out to JaVale, though. He might do well in FIBA basketball. For what, you know, he's there for, he might fulfill that role and might do it very well. But we're not looking good. We're not adjusting to the FIBA rules as well. Dealing with that, you're not getting your superstar calls. It's not going to happen. It ain't going to happen. We have to adjust. Pop has to adjust. It's not looking good for us right now. We do have Iran. We should win that game. I do not know if we're beating the Czech Republic next Saturday, though. Luka Doncic. This was a great week for the future of the NBA, especially when it comes to international basketball. And the future of the NBA and the future of basketball might be international is what I'm learning. Because we had the Greek Freak get it done in the NBA Finals. And here we have in his Olympic debut, Luka Doncic this morning dropped 48 and 11 versus Argentina. The second highest scoring game in the history of the Olympics by one man. I fear what he might do to our American team. But maybe because we're playing Luka, maybe we'll play up if that ever game happens. But Slovenia might be a problem. They're the reigning European champions. Even though there's no Dragic, they do have Luka. He's one of the best in the world. And for some reason in FIBA basketball, I don't know if it's because it's like home for him. He turns it up to another level as we've seen and as everybody found out this morning. Yeah, Luka's the truth. He's a monster. I fear for American lives because we're in trouble. But the Olympics heats up. Next week we'll be talking about track. NBC, even though I kind of got it situated, y'all got to get it fixed up, man. With the live television, I don't want to see the replay. Listen, I respect it. If you got nothing else to show, show the replay. But show these live. Put it on live television. I know that it's happening during the wee hours of the morning here in America, but put it on live television. I don't want to have to find alternate ways, wink wink, to find the game. Put it on NBC. Respectfully, put it on NBC. But yeah, Olympics is fun. It's fun. Y'all can let me know what y'all thoughts are. If anything I didn't cover, y'all can let me know. But the Olympics looking very fun so far. Alright, and with all of my major topics covered, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the Roundup. I talked about this on TikTok already, so if you want to see that version, feel free to head to my TikTok. My social media links, as always, are in the description or at the end of this video in a couple minutes. But Texas and Oklahoma want to leave the Big 12 and want to go to the SEC. I get to do this in all my glory. I'm all situated. I just started a whole new 20 minutes. So ladies and gentlemen, Get your seat tights, get your popcorn, get your food, get your water, get whatever you need. Because, buckle up. Because I might go on another one of those Super League rants. Because this is another situation. And once again, if you recall when we did the sample Super League, and this is probably similar to what I said on TikTok. So if you've already seen that version, you feel free to skip ahead. But I don't, y'all, it's insane to me. It's insane to me how little vision these executives have. How little vision. I don't understand how you, besides inheritance, get that rich and powerful and have that bad of business acumen. I don't understand it. I really, really don't understand it. I do not understand it. What is the benefit? Besides, I can tell you what the benefit is. But what is the long-term benefit of Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC? What is it? It's not money. That's the short-term benefit. But what is the long-term benefit? All of these super leagues, all of these super conferences, they sound fantastic. Picture perfect. I said this a couple months ago, but I'll say it again today. Sounds picture perfect when we talk about it on paper. The best teams in the best conference going head to head. Who wouldn't want to watch that? And that's what it sounds great. Right now on paper, it sounds great. But unfortunately, when you look into reality, that's not how leagues, and that's definitely not how standings work. Not all of y'all, if you put every single top team in one conference, somebody has to rise to the top. Somebody has to be at the bottom. And you know what happens when you're at the bottom? You know what happens when you're losing? You know what happens when you're getting your kicked every single week? You know what happens? People start to lose interest. You know what happens when people start to lose interest in your team, in your program? You start to lose money. So I really don't understand why everybody and all of these executives, not everybody because the people hate it, but why y'all keep pushing for these super conferences, for these super leagues. It's not going to work. It's never going to work. Go ahead. Succeed. Go ahead. Texas and Oklahoma, go ahead. And for football purposes, Texas, let's just say theoretically, no, I used Texas last time. Oklahoma, you're up. And this is no offense to Oklahoma fans, and I'm not saying this is what's going to happen to Oklahoma in particular. But let's say theoretically in football, y'all head to the SEC, things don't really work out. Y'all start getting pummeled every week because you're facing the best of the best every week, and you can't really keep up. I don't want to see a 1-8, a 1-9, a 2-7, or whatever it is, losing record Oklahoma team. I don't want to watch them. I'm a mega sports fan. I love college football. I refuse to watch a 2-7 Oklahoma on primetime television just because they're an SEC team. I don't care. I don't care. I won't care. And millions of others won't care. Because when you're in a conference of a bunch of B teams, of teams that are used to being the big fish, of used to being the top team, you're no longer a top team. You're just another team. Texas and Oklahoma have to be prepared and have to be ready to deal with the consequences of what happens if their ego gets checked if they go to the SEC. What happens then if you start to get your busted? You ready to be just another team? Are your profits, is your profit margin ready to just be another team? And for the teams in the SEC that are going to vote yes to allow them in, are you ready to just be another team? Because those second, third, even some of those conference championships you may have won without them in that conference, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. And how about this? Keeping it with college football, because that's really what's taking precedence here. if we do get an extended playoff, we get that 18 playoff, I do not want to see a 4-loss SEC team, a really 3-loss, much less a 5-loss SEC team. I don't want you to sniff the playoff. You better not sniff. You better not even be in the conversation for the 8th. Go ahead and join the SuperConference and let yourselves cannibalize each other. I don't care if the whole league's 8-4 in your conference championship. You win the conference championship. You win 8-4. You're not one of the 8 best teams. Not with an 8-4 record. Not with 4 losses. Not with 5 losses. But go ahead, do that. Go and try to cannibalize yourself. See if that affects your profit margin past that super mega TV deal that you're so chasing, so desperately chasing. It's mind-boggling. It is absolutely mind-boggling why every league we're starting to go through this where there's different conferences, different divisions, different leagues. It's not going to work. Long term, it's never going to work. Now, if you're old and you're 70 years old and you're looking for one multi-million-dollar paycheck trying to get to that billionaire status, I get it. That's what I think it is a lot of times. You're just trying to make those extra more millions. Because that's what made you those millions, right? Is chasing that next million. And I get it, right? I get it. Marketing standpoint, money standpoint, business standpoint. I get it. Short term, make a bunch of money off a TV contract. Who cares what my reputation is? Who cares what happens to my recruiting? Who cares what happens in the future? I'm rich now. But long term, that super mega SEC, it's not going to work. And I'm willing to bet somebody's going to leave. Give it 2 to 3, 4 years. Let a whole recruiting class, a generation come in. With that super conference, somebody, one of the big teams, actually I'd probably say multiple big teams, and you can come back to this episode when I'm all famous and this is one of the biggest podcasts. After this happens in 2024 or 2025, whatever, whenever this happens, right? We can come back to episode 51, and you can remember when I told you that this was going to happen. Somebody's going to leave. Somebody's going to get tired of being little brother and getting kicked around and losing, and it's going to start to hit their paycheck, and that TV contract's not going to really make up for the fact that you're the laughing stock of the college sports world, and they're going to leave. They're going to leave. So feel free to use this video, use this clip wherever I post it. I might post this clip on TikTok. Hey, TikTok. And use this as reference when this happens. But I digress. Once again, SEC, go ahead, do what you want. But this is a disaster waiting to happen. I don't get it. I mean, I do get it, but y'all are just blinded by greed and money. But then again, that's the world. And to end my rant, I could rant again. About this topic, I could also rant, and that's about my New York Yankees, right? And all I really have to say, we're not going to talk about Ohtani. You already know he hit a home run. I'm not going to talk about Vlad or Tatis. You already know they went off this week. It's what they do every week. I talk about that every week. We're going to keep it very short and simple. The Yankees bullpen is god-awful. It is god-awful. Honestly, I'm not sure. If we put a random fan out of the stadium, they might do better than our bullpen right now. I wouldn't trust our bullpen to write down their names on a piece of paper. That's how much distrust. I wouldn't trust them to spell it correctly. I wouldn't trust them to give me a high five. They might blow it. They might miss. We have the worst bullpen. I don't know what happened. We went from the god bullpen to whatever you want to call what we have now, and it's terrible. I'm tired of losing games that were up by 4 runs. I'm sick and tired of it. Aaron Boone, listen, he ain't the guy. He's not the guy. He's not the guy. I give managers long leashes to let them get their stuff in and give them chances, you know. Sometimes they're dealing with the after effects, you know, whatever. He ain't the guy. The batting coach, he ain't the guy. Pitching coach, he might not even be the guy. Let's do a fire sale of the coaching staff. Because we got problems. We got problems. Cashman, it's time to get to work. It's time to get to work at the trade deadline because we can't live like this. We cannot keep living like this. Yankees, jeez. But all rants done, all topics done. My voice is probably about to go. I recorded a reaction video this morning. But, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. This was probably a very entertaining. I think this was a very good. Of course, I'll go back in editing and we'll find out. But I think this was a very good episode. I think it was a very entertaining episode. Episode 51. Episode 51. Appreciate all of the love, support. All of it. All of it. All of it. I appreciate it so much. I'm eternally grateful. We're going to make this the biggest in the world. And we're going to do a bunch of crazy stuff with this brand and with the 815 Exchange. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you did. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Ocho signing off.